I'm Dr. Dani Rabwin, bringing you Ready, Vet, Go, the podcast. I'm really excited for this conversation today with my good friend, culture expert and veterinarian extraordinaire, Dr. G. Welcome, Gershon.
Hey, Dani. How are you?
Well, great.
Welcome to the land where the sun shines, because it very rarely does that in Northern Cal.
On the East Bay, the sun shines. In San Francisco, not so much this time of year. I'm very happy to be in Southern California, where I grew up, being back home. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for coming into my studio here.
Yeah, absolutely. I love being here because I love what you're doing, and I really are going to love the topic we're talking about today.
Yeah, today's a good topic. We're going to talk about practice culture. We're going to talk about early career veterinarians, which is where you and I, our passion really lies right now. We've both been in this field for a long time, and we have gravitated towards this field of early career veterinary medicine, both of us in our unique ways. Yeah, I mean, I'm just excited to chat with you.
Oh, yeah. Let's go. I mean, culture is huge, right? Culture is everything. Culture is the practice. One of the reasons I believe that corporate entities that came into the field are
we're starting off big from the get-go.
No. Yeah. Do not pass go. Do not collect $100.
Okay. All right.
Or whatever, it's 1,000 or whatever monopoly is. It's probably 10 grand now. No. I mean, culture is the practice, right? And a lot of people complain that veterinary medicine is fragmented. You could have 10 veterinary practices in 3 square miles.
Yeah.
They don't talk to each other. They don't work together. They don't really share much. And they're all competing for the same clients, right? And the biggest thing is that corporate entities thought, we can go buy all these practices and then get pricing power and get full control. But I think the one biggest thing they missed, because a lot of these corporate entities do not have C-suite executives that have ever been in veterinary medicine, is the fact that each separate practice has its own culture.
And do you think that that is good for veterinary medicine, that everybody has their own separate culture? You were talking about how there's, practice A isn't talking to practice B, isn't talking to practice C.
Yet they all have the same problems. They have no staff. They have no doctors. They don't have enough clients. You would think they would kind of just work together and hey, let's put 3 practices into one.
Yeah.
But culture is huge. It really is. It's very important.
Culture's hugely important. I mean, I feel like culture is kind of the make or break for what keeps us in this profession and what keeps a clinic healthy and thriving. When I started off in practice, 20-something years ago, I joined a practice that had a really positive culture.
Right.
I was brought into that positive culture, and it really shaped who I am as a veterinarian and the way I've practiced over the last 20 years.
So what do you mean by positive?
Well, okay, here's a couple of things. So my first boss, Dr. Mike Buffum. He's amazing, and I worked for him right after my
Buffinator.
The Buffinator, Buff. He brought me into a practice that at the time, I honestly don't know that I really appreciated what he was doing to create that culture. But there were so many things that I can look back on now to know, there were people just worked there for years. We really enjoyed being there. He did have a lot of people like you had over the years who he sent off to veterinary school. But there were a couple things that he did for the culture that made me feel like I was really part of something important. He opened his finances to me. That was number one. He really showed the books for the practice profitability, so that I knew as a new grad and an early career vet what I brought in on production, how that affected the bottom line of the practice, how it affected the health of the practice, how it allowed bonuses for our staff, how we were able to get new equipment. So I really felt like I was part of that positivity.
So can we stop right there?
Yes.
So basically what you're saying is, instead of him coming in and saying, you need to bring in X, he basically said, look, this is how much it costs to rent the building, how to turn on the lights, workman's comp insurance, liability insurance, oxygen supply, lab machine, lab costs, x-ray machine costs, all this. So you understood what was going on behind the scenes in the practice.
Yes, that's exactly right.
And the crazy thing is I did the same thing.
You did? I'm not surprised.
I did. But again, because of my mentors always did that with me.
Yeah, and it's really changed. I mean, you're not going to find that in, what
Everyone's
you're
so
talking about with
secretive.
it feels very secretive. It feels like people, like certain production goals are often imposed on people without an understanding of why. And at the time, I really was not interested in the finances. I didn't go to veterinary school to learn how to read a P&L. I went to veterinary school to practice, patient care. But
Okay, let me ask you right now. Now that you're out, and you and I have been down the block a few times.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. I heard you saying earlier you've known Peter Weinstein for
25
years. Minus 30. So, but the thing is, do you think now, looking back at education, they need to do a better job explaining the finances of running a practice?
Yes. And I think they need to explain why even associate veterinarians should understand that, because I think there's an idea that somehow we don't need to know about that unless we're wanting to go into ownership. And not everybody wants to go into ownership, and that's fine. But I think there's a lot of value in associates understanding the financial implications of, what it means to run a veterinary practice. I think it's really important. I talk on the subject. I teach on the subject. I know you teach about business in veterinary school. The VBMA was the only group that was talking about business or finances when I was a student. And that was right at the end, I think, is when the VBMA was first coming up. And I would not have gone to one of those meetings if you paid me. I wanted nothing to do with it.
Do you think they go now? Honestly, do you really think students go now?
I don't know. I mean, I speak to VBMAs and so do you, and it's a small group, it's a small representation of the entire class. And so I think it's like an opt-in. And I think maybe there might be some value in thinking about it as part of the core curriculum, because we cannot separate practice of medicine from the financial piece associated with medicine.
You can't, because each veterinary practice is a small business.
That's right.
It's a mom and pop.
That's right. And it's, it's not the most important thing or the only thing we need to be focusing on, but it is part of it. I think that is an important piece of culture. So I'll ask you, I shared the financial piece. What other things do you think are important aspects of positive culture?
And it's, especially because we're talking about early career veterinarians, right? Yep. And Peter Weinstein said it best, and he said this best during my proposal defense, because Peter Weinstein's on my dissertation committee. And he's like, it was explaining to the professors that were there that, veterinary school is a very, very turbulent ride.
Yeah.
Right? It's bumpy.
Yep.
You're taking 25 hours a semester, to be a full-time student, it's 12?
Yeah.
So you're doing double the classwork, and you're just getting through there. And hopefully you're of the mindset you don't have to be perfect in vet school, but a lot of them can.
Yes.
And so when they graduate after this bumpy ride, how turbulent or how rough is that landing going to be in that first job?
Yeah.
And I think it has a lot to do with culture. Yeah. And the problem is that in interview, in a 1 or 2 day working interview, you truly are not going to see the culture, right? Because it's the honeymoon period.
Yes.
But I think culture is immensely strong. I mean, it is so important for culture to be addressed. It's crazy. And culture, for everyone listening, culture starts from the leadership of the practice or the leadership of the corporate down, right? And hopefully the leaders are incorporating a culture of safety, a culture of happiness, a culture of this is awesome, let's have fun.
Yeah.
What did I do for culture? I made sure, I had nothing but women that worked for me, and they called it Fat Girl Fridays. And everyone would bring in some dish.
Yeah.
And it would just be sitting in the office.
Yeah.
And it definitely was not healthy.
Right.
We always put on the Canyon 15. That's what every new employee that came in.
That's really funny.
Other things we would do is I would make sure that the speaker was playing music in the back.
Yeah.
And I even they love the Disney Channel as far as music goes, or they love Christmas music in August. You just got to let them go with it. And, just have, what can you do to have fun?
Right. It sounds like some of those things were kind of motivated by the staff. This wasn't you saying, here's what we're going to do.
But as a leader, I could have said no.
You could have said no, but you also created a space where people can come up with things that they want to do to make their culture more fun. And I don't think we talk about the fun enough. This is a fun job and a fun profession. It's hard and there's challenges and we can't gloss over those.
It's fun.
But
It depends on the culture of the practice that you're at. And if
Yeah.
you don't think the practice is fun, then chances are maybe you're not at the correct practice for you.
yeah. What about mentorship? So obviously with Ready Vet Go and my own personal passion and this new phase in my career, I'm just, focused so much on mentorship. And I talk a lot about creating a culture of mentorship. Is that part of the whole culture that we're talking about, especially as vet students are looking to find their first job or transition into practice?
Well, let me make something perfectly clear because obviously mentorship is part of my research. I personally believe anyone can be a mentor.
Mm-hmm.
I also believe that not everybody wants to be a mentor.
Yeah.
But because yes, they could be a mentor. I think it's very important that they learn the right skills, and that's why I love your program.
Yeah.
Is because not only do you teach these early career vets how to survive and have fun, and know it's okay, it's not to be perfect, and know it's okay to make mistakes, and know it's okay to ask questions, and know it's okay, but I'm hoping you're teaching them how to be mentors, in which you are, because your program's laying their foundation.
Yep.
Right? There's an old see one, do one, teach one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Same thing with mentorship.
Mentorship. And that's why I love your program. Obviously, I've read about all the programs that are out there because of my dissertation. And I'm not trying to be biased because you're sitting here. I think you're the one who gets it. You're the one who's doing it right.
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, I have looked back on 20 years of being in practice, and I am still just such a cheerleader for this profession. And it was imperative to me that when I launched a program that was going to support early career vets as they transition from vet school into practice, we had to lead with a spirit of joy and love for the veterinary profession. And I think that's why over the last 3 years, we have really just taken off, because that spirit is resonating with people. It's needed. There was a real gap in our field around that. And
There still is a gap. You're just one.
Right.
You're just one.
Well, you're working to change and fill that gap.
Yeah, I mean, I am, but I mean, then there's two. There are others,
Yeah.
but they're not doing it. They're not doing it the right way.
Yeah.
Like if I want to be a mentor for your program, I just have to be a cheerleader and have a good experience and have a good resume and have good references. If I want to be a mentor in other programs, I actually have to take a question persuade refer course, QPR course, which is suicide. You're there too late. Like we should be there. Well,
Steps before.
That's like putting the dead man's curve sign right at dead man's curve instead of a mile ahead. And so I think it's really important that, the way you're doing it, you're also creating a culture the way you are doing it.
Yeah.
Your actions create cultures. And actions create cultures more than words do.
Yeah.
It all depends, though. It depends if those words are mean.
Right. This is an important lesson because not everybody's going to have the opportunity to enroll in a formal structured program. I hope you do. We exist for you. But there are things about culture that can be implemented at the clinic level, both for leaders who are in corporate situations and in private practices. So all of these things that we're talking about, we can implement change at the clinic level no matter where you're working.
And even early career vets can implement it.
Absolutely.
Right? And the trick is, for me, at least as a leader, if someone came in with an idea, I was like, oh, that sounds great. Go with it. And I knew if they stuck with it for at least 2 weeks, then it would become the norm. Right? And again, let's talk about the implementation. It doesn't cost money to change a culture.
Yeah.
It doesn't take time. It doesn't take time away from the clinic to change the culture.
Right.
Unless and there's nothing wrong if you want to close for a few hours and do some team bonding, team building, fun event.
Yeah.
That's a culture builder.
Right.
And anybody in the clinic can do it. I don't care if it's someone who's been out for 50 years. I don't care if it's someone who's been out for 50 days. If you have a great idea, bring it up. Talk about it. Communicate.
I would just like to say that you haven't said this word yet, but I can imagine that within your clinic, when you were the owner of this practice and people were coming to you with ideas, they were doing so because you as the leader had created a space of psychological safety. That's a hot button word right now. But no one is going to go to a leader with an idea if they think the idea is going to be shut down or they're going to be ridiculed or criticized.
Shunned.
Yeah. And so what I'm hearing implied is that there was this safety that was created. So how important was that, and how important is that in other clinics for culture?
Well, it all depends. I don't want to go off on leadership because I think Peter Weinstein's really good at it. But it depends on the type of leader you are. If you're a transformational leader, you basically try to transform the people that work for you to believe into your vision. And if you scare the living crap out of them, thinking that, let's say I'm an early career vet and I'm scared to death to go to the manager or the owner or the regional manager or anyone with an idea because I think they're going to say no way or laugh at me or say you haven't been here long enough or what are you talking about or you don't understand. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So if you don't have that psychological safety,
Yeah.
and I knew that from the people I worked with in undergrad, they taught me that. They taught me the importance of team. They taught me the importance of making sure that that anyone who works in the clinic has a voice. And even when I run my new business now, I make sure that everyone that works here has a voice. Now, as the owner, leader, I don't have to follow it, but I sure as hell don't want them to not bring something up because they're scared.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a really important lesson for other leaders to hear.
Yeah, and any veterinarians, if you feel as if you're at a place where your vision, your thoughts, your ideas will either shun you or make you an outsider or piss off people, then again, I don't think you're at the right place. Because that's part of that rough landing.
Yeah.
It's hard enough dealing with clients every single day to also have to deal with not only the clients, but as soon as you leave the room, you're going back to the treatment room, the kennel, the office, reception, and you just get no one interacts with you because they think because they don't care what you have to say. It's a big part of mental health for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, and you have to be able to vent. You have to be able to get how you're feeling out without someone judging you.
Yes, I think that is such a key piece because we're not going to be able to speak authentically if we feel like we're going to be judged.
Right.
So you have so much passion for this topic, and you were a practice owner for many years, and now this next phase of your career, you're getting your doctorate and doing your dissertation on early career well-being and mentorship and culture. What are you learning? What are some of the key takeaways from what your research is showing around culture and how it affects well-being, especially when we're talking about early career veterinarians?
Well, I mean, the thing is that there was a stat that just came out that they believe in 2032 we're going to be 18,000 veterinarians short of where we need to be. And there's a few things I'm finding that just talking to people, I obviously haven't sat down and looked at the data and did all that stuff. But there's a lot of things that are very important. That keyword, psychological safety, which basically means, do you feel safe bringing your concerns and beliefs to leadership? That is huge. I'm learning that the biggest thing I'm still learning now is, and it's a highly debated topic, is how many hours you experienced before you went into vet school. That's playing a huge key as well.
Meaning people who have more experience in the veterinary field
know what to expect
before vet school.
Know what to expect once they're in. Once they're in, right?
But isn't there a high requirement, or even to be competitive to get into veterinary school? What?
Well, I'm not going to give any. One of these days, that article is going to drop. It's okay. One of the things I'm looking at is realistic job preview, right?
Yeah.
And that's basically showing you what the job really is.
Yeah.
At which, and we talked about this before. The academics that teach at veterinary school are brilliant. There's no, I'm not going to argue that.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is they're professional academics.
Yeah.
Have they been to the front line?
Right.
Have they fought that war? And I always ask people, would you rather follow a general to war that's been in war? Or would you rather follow a general that's read the theories about war and doesn't even know if they work? So I don't think veterinary school prepares the student for the true realities. And yes, there are schools that require 0 hours before you apply. And
So you have 0 hours getting in, and then you're being taught by people who might not have many hours.
the white pillar medicine, the gold standard medicine.
Yeah.
And then they get into a veterinary practice and they wonder why a dog with diarrhea won't do x-rays, ultrasound, and blood work on the first visit.
Yep.
And you know, and that's one of the things. Obviously, the emotional demands. If you do not have that realistic career preview, you won't know the emotional demands that lead to emotional exhaustion.
Yeah.
And the problem is that a lot of the research in veterinary medicine look at burnout just through emotional exhaustion. They also don't, but you know, burnout is a 3-step phase, which is emotional exhaustion, lack of self-worth, and then also shutting yourself off from everyone.
Right.
Those are the 3 things you need.
Yeah.
And actually, I just wrote an article last night that's going to drop, and basically I was looking at fear versus worry.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear about this. I talk a lot about the fear that I see among early career veterinarians. I have a lot of theories on why that exists. I'm curious to hear.
Well, the thing is that when it comes to fear is like boom.
Yeah.
Like you're doing surgery and then the EKG shows flatline. That's fear, right?
Yeah.
If you do not confront that fear then and be able to talk to someone, then that fear leads to worry, right? You're going to be driving home. You're not going to sleep that night. It's going to keep playing over in your head. You're going to wake up the next morning. And I mean, like questions like, did I do everything right? Am I going to have to go in front of the state board? Is this owner going to kill me? Right? Like is the owner of the practice going to yell at me? Like, is anyone going to trust me anymore? Like my technicians, like those types of things.
Yeah.
So that is where the article is coming from, is that there's nothing wrong being scared. You're human.
Right.
Fear is, you see a bear coming at you.
Right.
You have two chances. You sit there and try to fend yourself.
Right.
Or you just hope you're not the slowest one in that group.
Right.
Right. So but the thing is, like, if you, heaven forbid, something goes wrong.
Yeah.
Right? You have the fear right then and there. Your adrenaline kicks in. You know,
you drop that pedicle.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You can't find it. Oh, my gosh, his abdomen's filling with blood.
Right. Yeah.
Remember, old blood stops eventually. All bleeding stops. It does.
I always congratulate mentees when they do that the first time.
Right. It's like,
you did it. Everyone lived. You're okay.
You're moving on.
You're moving on. You can overcome that now.
But as a leader,
yeah,
as a practice with great culture, as a practice with good psychological safety,
yeah,
that fear needs to be addressed right then and there.
Yes.
Like, are you okay? What happened? Let's talk about it.
Right. So it's not just somebody coming in and helping you find the dropped pedicle. It's perhaps debriefing after you've had that experience. Correct. I love that. I feel like that's a light bulb moment for me. I had a really interesting experience with a mentee that I ran into at VMX last year. She had gone through the Ready Vetco mentorship program. And as part of that, I had been given by one of the new AI scribe companies, like a bunch of free scribes to give to all my mentees. And I use AI scribe notes in my clinical practice, and it was like a game changer for me. I love it. It makes me be more efficient. And so I offered it to the mentees, and I don't know that anybody took me up on it, and they didn't use it. And so when I saw one of
Which is crazy, because they talk about work-life balance.
Yes.
If you use AI Scribe, writing up your charts is so easy.
It is, but the learning curve is so steep at the beginning. There's so many other things.
Oh, my gosh.
But listen, so I ran into her.
On one of my podcasts, just so you know, Dr. Dani, I had this is a unicorn.
Yeah.
An absolute unicorn. Great story, and I'm sorry to move away. But my wife and I were at at a graduation party for our friends. And we were Ubering home because that's a responsible thing to do.
Yes.
And
Good job.
we got picked up by this guy, and the ride home was only 7 minutes. And this guy he just turned on his Uber, just happened to pick us up. He's like, I'd never been in this part of Orange County, California. I wanted to come visit it, and I thought, might as well pay for gas. Let me pick up a ride. Too bad it was only 7 minutes. It wasn't much of a ride. He does tech for only veterinary clinics.
What? How random.
Isn't that insane?
Yeah, totally.
So I had him on there, and that's exactly what he said. He said it's the fear of implementation that stops people from using tech, especially the veterinary world.
Yeah, veterinarians are real creatures of habit. I think we are really averse to change in certain ways. That is not going to be the punchline for the story that I had from this new grad, though. It was not about that. When I talked to her and I said, why did you not utilize this free thing that was being given to you? And she said, what I need right now is a way to stop waking up in the middle of the night worrying that my spays have bled out and not learning how to use an AI scribe for my notes. And for me, that was very telling because it's that kind of hearkening back to this worry that you're talking about, and it makes me wonder if there was somebody in her clinic who was able to sit down and debrief with her after the spay. Let's not talk about just the technical or clinical skills. And I think this is where we kind of miss the boat sometimes when it comes to mentorship, which is, we think if we have a clinical skills checklist or our mentees are hitting certain clinical benchmarks, we can check the mentorship box. But that's not it. It's sitting down and debriefing afterwards and talking about all of the other things, the psychological safety and emotional intelligence, and making it so that fear doesn't become worry.
Like, take them aside. Like, how are you going to explain this to the clients?
Yes.
Like, there's so many steps that need to be done after a horrendous situation.
Yes.
And I don't care if you've been out, again, 50 years or 50 days.
Yeah.
When something goes wrong, it's like a knife to the heart.
Yes.
And it's very important that is debriefed by the team immediately.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's very easy for us as humans to say, oh, yeah, I didn't see that. I had nothing to do with that. Thank God. But as a true leader, if something like that happened in my practice, I immediately pull them aside. And it wasn't in the clinic. I'd take them outside the clinic. Mm-hmm. Even if we went out back, sat there, we talked about it, let them know that it's absolutely normal. Mm-hmm. And we go from there. Because one of the things I came up with, I'm not trying to push my veterinary intelligence thing, but the article that I just released this week was talking about the dark triad. And if you talk about the dark triad, that's psychopathy, Machiavellianism, and narcissism, right? And a lot of people can think of leaders, Kim Jong-un, Adolf Hitler. Some people say Donald Trump. Love him or hate him, right? But it is what it is. But that isn't the dark triad in veterinary medicine. The dark triad in veterinary medicine that leads to burnout.
Yeah.
It's got to be perfectionism.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Rumination, where you go home and think about it.
Yes.
And what we call preservative cognition, which is not only are you worried about, not only are you overthinking it, but you wake up the next day worrying that you're going to do it again.
Yes.
So getting ahead and blocking that fear can help with that dark triad.
So
it's not going to get rid of it, but it's going to help it.
How do we get ahead? Like, what are some tools, both for the people in that position, the new grads, early career vets, and tools for the people who support them, their team members, leaders, mentors? Well,
one of the things is, like, hopefully they do have a mentor, like a new grad. They have a mentor, whether it be Dr. Dani or someone at your clinic. Hopefully there's someone that you can pull aside and say, I need to talk to you.
Yeah.
Right? Or you can call them on the phone or something like that. Truly a mentor is, a 9-dimensional thing. Yeah. And it's not more like teaching. It's pushing. It's being a friend. It's opening up a network. It's like you keep going on and on and on.
Yeah.
Hopefully there's someone, your mentor there. You need to talk to someone immediately. Even if it's one of your professors from school.
Yeah.
Even if it's a classmate. Even if it's somebody that everyone's been through it.
That's right.
Everyone's been through it.
It does take...
And if you haven't been through it, you haven't been practicing long enough.
Yeah, and if you're not admitting it... and
then you're a liar.
Yeah, or if you're embarrassed or you
Right.
feel shame as a seasoned practitioner, you don't want to share with your mentee that you've been through it. Do it. I encourage all mentors. Share your mistakes.
True mentors are authentic.
Authentic. I am also hearing from you, though, that the mentees really need to take some accountability. They need to speak up and say, I need help. And that is hard for people to do. And, I hear from leaders and practice owners who say, I was always available. They could have just called me anytime, but they didn't. And so
because they didn't feel they had the psychological safety to call it in because they thought they would get in trouble.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm going to admit it right now. I was doing a working interview at the practice I ended up at for 25 years. And I ended up owning it for 20. Son of a bitch. What do you know? On my working interview, they're like, go spay this 140-pound golden retriever.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll pump my chest. I can do this.
Yeah.
I would be damned if that freaking uterine stump pedicle, the suture on the right side broke.
I can
Do you know how hard it is to find a stump?
Yeah.
A drop pedicle on a 140-pound golden retriever?
I do. It's awful.
And you know what I didn't have a problem doing? Go get Dr. Hamill in here.
Yeah.
I can't find this. Because it took two of us to find it. Yeah. Someone had to hold 139 pounds of intestine and abdominal viscera
it takes
out of the way to find it, sometimes. To grab it, and suture it.
And I don't know Dr. Hamill, but I've heard a lot about him from you and others. And I can imagine that there was no judgment and it was supportive and kind.
And he also used to tell me that the Lord doesn't like a coward. So he wanted me to go do procedures that were harder, knowing that he was there to do it.
Yes, knowing that you have that support.
Right. I remember my first PU I did. Woo!
Yeah.
And I got comfortable, and I'm like, okay, I can do PUs. And it was like probably the fifth or sixth one. The penis was so necrotic where that stone was lodged.
Oh, no.
That the penis hit the floor.
Oh, no.
So the saying was always, it's fun in games until the penis hits the floor. But the thing was, again, Dr. Hamill wasn't there that day, and fear kicked in.
Yeah.
But the one thing that is great about fear is it makes you think clearly.
Yeah.
It makes you go through your steps. Immediately, I'm like, I'm going to get Dr. Gassel, a boarded surgeon, on the phone. He got on the phone immediately, and he's like, oh, don't worry about it. Do you know how much urethra there is? So he's like, just go in the abdomen, put an 8 French catheter down. You'll find that urethra, suture it in.
Yes.
No problem. So I went a step better. I put an 8 down, 5 up.
Yep.
And now I had a long 5 catheter, and I saw exactly where the urethra was. But again, if I was too afraid to open my mouth or to do something about it, the cat would have been a goner.
Exactly. Or if you were afraid to even do the procedure. I mean, I find that, this fear is really preventing people from even taking the plunge to do these types of procedures.
But where does that start?
Well, I've got some pretty strong feelings about where that comes from.
Right.
And I think that a lot of what I do as a mentor and with Ready Vet Go is kind of undoing some of that narrative that a lot of new grads leave school with, that somehow their veterinary degree does not qualify them to do a procedure. Hell yeah, it does. Of course it does. Are we, obligated to do right by our patients and have, educated and informed conversations? Yeah, for sure. And we can refer when needed, and we can consult with specialists when needed. You had a really interesting thing that you just said. You called Dr. Gassel. And just like 2 weeks ago, I picked up the phone in surgery, and I called our mobile surgeon, who I refer to all the time, and he picked up the phone, and he helped me. And I think, we've kind of moved away from that a little bit. Referring or specialists in our areas, they're here in service not just of the patients that we share, but they're in service for us. As the veterinarians who refer to them. And most of the specialists that I refer to will pick up the phone to help.
You know what I did as a practice owner? I invited, each year I made sure that the Christmas party was epic, right?
I'm not surprised.
Yeah. So for a few years, because the staff just loved it, I actually chartered a 70-foot boat to take us out into the Christmas boat parade. But I also invited every single specialist we used.
I love that.
I mean, trust me, the specialists love a pizza, right,
Just
or
as much as
cookies
the
for their
next guy.
staff, just as the next. And as a thank you, that's all you need to do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You can say thank you. You can drop off a box of cookies, just anything, just so they know. Obviously, yes, they think the referral of a case is a better thank you, but they also are under the understanding now that the cost of care at a referral center is astronomical.
Yep.
And you could be like, listen, you could go get that spleen removed at a specialist, probably be about $12,000 to $15,000, or I can do it for about $3,500.
Yes. And if you can do a spay, you can do a splenectomy.
And a
I
cystotomy.
believe that. And
a liver biopsy.
100%.
And an anerotomy. And a gastrotomy.
Absolutely.
And an intestinal anastomosis. And.
Yep, 100%.
I wouldn't do orthopedics. I don't care to do orthopedics. I hated physics. I really don't. But I would still do my FHOs. I would still do luxating patellas. I would still do, but I hated it. Hated it. Because you're always like, okay, I did the FHO.
Right.
Why is the dog still limping? The rumination, like,
Yes.
did I shave off enough? Is it going to walk? Did I hit that sciatic nerve? Did I, you know?
Well, and I'm glad you're normalizing that too, because even you with a lot of experience and a lot of confidence, you still can do that. I mean, we're not exempt from those things. I still have those moments.
Oh, absolutely. You know, and my wife, veterinarian, amazing woman, brilliant, still freaks out with skin bleeders when she's doing a spay. She's been doing it for 27 years. Oh my God, it's bleeding. You know, yes, it does bleed. And for the early career veterinarians, those freaking photos they show you in surgical class are a load of crap, because they're either a cadaver or they blotted all the blood and took a perfect picture.
A nice, perfect picture.
There's no way they were removing a hemoabdomen caused by a bleeding spleen without blood everywhere.
Exactly.
Everywhere.
So I want to shift a little bit, because I want to ask you, I hear from practice owners, not uncommonly, that, we're talking about culture, we're talking about new grads, and I hear from them pretty regularly this narrative that somehow new veterinarians are, quote, lazy, or unmotivated or disloyal. And I wonder how that impacts.
There was an article that came out that got a lot of heat about that.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was about a month ago.
Yeah. So can you talk about that?
I responded to it, but I did it in a very neutral tone.
So what did you what was your response, and how do you feel about that?
Well, I think there is a generational change, and I think the biggest generational change between just the Gen Xers and the millennials was the whole concept of the participation trophy. You and I, if we ever went and did a sporting event, you wanted a medal, you would have to work your ass off to get to that medal. Now with the participation trophy concept, and I mean, I love working with kids. I love working with kids, coaching kids, mentoring kids. So I did a lot of coaching for AYSO soccer, and I would have a lot of kids that never came to practice, or a lot of kids that didn't show up to games, but they still got a trophy at the end. And even my daughters would be upset because as a dad, you coach your kids, which is, by the way, the hardest freaking thing you can ever do. And they would ask me, though, they'd be like, why did they get a trophy? They never came. And I'm just like, because they all contributed.
Yeah.
But I really think that started it. I really think that's part of the I don't want to say entitlement. I think that's too strong of a word.
Yeah.
But I understand. But we also understand now that the millennials and the Gen Zers, one of their number one values is work-life balance.
Yeah.
And yeah, I understand work-life balance, and I understand, and you have the older vets, they're like, I had to work 80 hours a week, 90 hours a week. Well, we shouldn't be carrying around that as a badge of honor.
Right. Yes.
Because I think mentally, our generation and older is probably a little messed up from that.
Yeah. I
It took
agree.
me about, after I retired, about 18 months to get over that. And now I don't get stressed at all, which is
Yeah.
amazing,
Yeah.
you know. But
So it did need to swing
it did,
in another
and I do want to let everyone know, you know, when I was getting my MBA at Pepperdine, they like, oh, there's free counseling for your mental health counseling. And I was like, me being the 50-year-old kid in a 25-year-old class. And I said it out loud. And I'm like, it's not free. It's in our tuition. We paid for it. And
Yeah.
everyone got a good chuckle out of
I'm
that.
sure.
But I actually went, and when I knew I was retiring, I actually used the mental health. And they called it. They said the first 4 months you're going to go through every stage of grief there is. And I absolutely was an absolute pill at home because of it. But now I'm good. But you did have to work through it. You did
Yeah.
have to go ahead and make sure that, you know, that worked. And what was your question again?
I was talking about the narrative that new grads are
Oh, yeah.
lazy.
So lazy. So, you know, and I asked him about that. I asked my therapist about that. And he said it's not. It's just, and as he said they just got it right.
Aha.
So, but getting back to that article, I think the problem isn't the new grads. I think it's more the ones who are retiring, the legacies,
Yeah.
not coming back and helping out. They want to open up 15 new veterinary schools. Who's going to teach them? Well, I think the legacies need to get in there.
Yeah. They've got the experience and the wisdom.
They've been there.
And
the best thing about my Pepperdine graduate program is that every professor, I would say 85% of them are not professional academians.
Right.
They all came from C-suite level jobs.
Yes. So they were kind of in
And
the
got their
trenches.
PhDs later.
Right. So are you saying that this isn't on the new grads? This is partially on the legacies and the more experienced veterinarians and even our generation who are not coming back and providing support?
And I think it goes back to the veterinary schools not preparing these kids correctly. Right? Because if those pure academians really said how many hours they truly put in,
Yeah.
then they would be like, holy cow. Because they think those veterinarians are just there from 9 to 2, 9 to 3, 9 to 4. But they don't realize that they also are doing research in order to keep their job.
Right.
So just because they're not seeing cases, they're doing something else to
Right.
keep their job.
Right. So are you suggesting that we have more clinical practitioners who have
Teaching.
been in practice,
Right.
in general practice, not just in
Not specialty, general practice?
going
Absolutely.
in to teach? Yeah,
Absolutely.
I agree with you.
I think there should be CE
Yeah.
that is taught by nothing but general practitioners.
Stay tuned, people. It's in the works. Symptom exclamation point.
Yes. I think that needs to be taught because you got to keep things simple. Academians and all that seem to just totally decide to make it so impossible to understand that, you know, that they that's how it is. But I think it's a double-edged sword, right?
Yeah.
I think veterinary medicine is so messed up in so many ways that, like you and I are going down the route that we believe that if we take care of them right when they're done with school,
Yeah.
we can lay that foundation. It's not a crack foundation. It's a solid foundation for them to build their professional career.
Yeah.
You know, I put 20 employees into veterinary school, all 20 still working, all 20 still love the job.
I love that. And, you know, they had to have their own grit and tenacity and work really hard. And also, you're a common denominator among all those people. They had a mentor and somebody that they could reach out to when they needed support.
They still do.
I'm sure.
They still do. I still get calls all the time. I'm like, yeah, I still have my license, so I can talk veterinary medicine with you. But yeah, no, they still call. They still call now about cases or clients or stuff like that. Matter of fact, one of them got some horrendous review, and they're like, "How do I respond to it?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "You either can respond to it, like I told her, I said, take 48 hours, relax, think about it. But the cool thing now, which we didn't have, is that you can drop that comment into chat or in some AI
Yep.
and say, please positively, professionally respond to this.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
then put that in there.
Yep. I think there's a great use for it. I've used it in my professional and my personal life, and it's been pretty helpful.
Right.
Yeah.
It is incredible.
So what about people?
Do you think new career vets are lazy?
No, I do not think new career vets are lazy. I think by
Do you
definition,
think they're expecting too much?
I think there is. I think we could break that down into different things, because expecting too much in what regard? You know, there's so many different things that we could be saying they're expecting too much.
Right.
So I don't think so. I do think that there is sometimes a bit of a disconnect with, if we talk about like financial compensation that people are asking for. I think we do need to have, this goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning, an understanding of what we bring in like with our productivity and how that contributes to the bottom line of the practice. And we need to have an understanding around what percentage of my production should be going to my salary or to my bonuses or to my compensation, so that we can
But
really,
in order to get production, you must see cases.
you must see cases. And I think, what you were saying, we were too far expecting veterinarians to work 80 or 90 hours a week. And we might have gone a little bit too far in the other direction. The only way you're going to get comfortable with getting out of your comfort zone by doing more procedures and more cases and feeling confident is by seeing cases. And we have to show up. And I'm not talking about pay your dues because that's what we had to do. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, you have put to get into veterinary school and through veterinary school, I think by definition, you are not lazy, because that is hard. And so
But you also have to be a perfectionist.
that's right. And so the perfectionism, I think, adds to some of the fear and then worry. And then we kind of back off a little bit. And maybe we don't jump in there to see all of the things and see more cases and do more procedures. So I think it's a little bit of a vicious cycle.
It's
and I think it's just
awful.
easy to say they're just lazy. And so, I'm like,
It's a cop-out.
it's exactly.
Right? It's a cop-out
It is.
because there's too much work that has to go into making sure this veterinarian is not, lazy. It's like, I don't want to work with them. I don't want to do it. They don't care.
That's
Yes,
right.
they do care.
That's right.
But maybe they're an asshole because they don't have psychological safety.
That's right.
Maybe they're not coming to you with their problems because they feel like they can't.
That's right.
And it comes back to that whole thing of culture.
Yes.
So I would like to know, the other day you gave me a little jingle.
I did.
What happened?
Here's what happened. I have a mentee. She has been out for about 3 to 4 years, and she was a participant in the Ready Vet Go mentorship program a couple of years ago. And I know her to be a very hardworking, kind, caring, compassionate, very smart veterinarian. And in her short career, she has worked at 2 or 3 different clinics. She has felt pushed out by each one. I don't know all of the details for, the minutia of every experience because I'm not on the ground in the clinic with her, but I do know her very well. And she texted me. I checked in with her. How are things going? She said, well, I'm in a bit of a rough patch. Things aren't going well with the culture at my practice. I just want to be at a place where I can see myself practicing for 10 plus years. And I'm tired of working in environments where I'm not valued and where I'm looked at like I'm lazy.
Okay. So let me play devil's advocate on that.
Yeah.
How many clinics has she been in and how long has she been out?
She's been out for going on 4 years and she's on her 3rd clinic.
At what point do you have to also sit back and think, is it more the clinic or is it also a little bit of you?
I think there's got to be both. I will say that the 2 of the clinics were within the same corporate group. So she was not jiving with one clinic and she had a transfer. And so perhaps it could be traced back to the culture of the entire group.
So you lost me a corporate group. That's the problem.
Well, I mean, this is a truth for a lot of veterinarians.
But the corporate groups are turning over faster than a car wash.
And that's why I'm not, I will 100% buy that she probably has a role to play. You know,
Right.
there is some common denominator. She has been in multiple practices. And so is there something about what she's doing or not doing? And also, what is going on with the culture and the leadership and what's coming from the top down that's influencing this? And, you know, this is...
Well, you and I have already talked about that off screen
yeah.
because I don't want to get in trouble. But
This-
it's a common denominator amongst all the corporate groups. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Corporate groups ultimately, bottom line, spreadsheet, return on investment.
That is true, but I will tell you that in my work with Ready Vet Go, I have a view behind the scenes and behind the curtain at a lot of different groups because we support independent practices and corporate groups. And I am seeing some pretty impressive scaffolding and support being provided for early career vets in many different corporate groups. I'm not going to say that for all of them.
The funny thing is that,
but-
you know, they call me to become regional director of mentoring at one of the corporate groups. And I simply asked them, I'm like, how many early career vets do you have? You have about, 600-700 hospitals. Oh, we have 26. And I was like, why do you want me in here? And they're like, well, they're not reaching their numbers. So we want you to come in and start talking to them about what we could do differently. Do they need more equipment? Do they need this? Do they need that in order to do it? And if we do that and within 3 months they're not meeting their numbers, that's when you have to have the hard talk with them.
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't get the job because I think maybe they wanted to read my dissertation proposal. But I think the problem there with the corporate groups is, again, they really are caring about the bottom line. They're caring about the investors.
Right.
And yes, I'm not saying all corporate groups are bad,
Yeah.
but they're all based on the same premise.
Mm-hmm.
Veterinary medicine is an untapped resource, and we can make gajillions doing it.
Right.
That's the bottom line. And the other problem with a lot of corporate groups is that a lot of their managers, regional managers, VPs, directors, C-suite do not have the initials DVM. They have the initials MBA.
Right. Yeah.
And that's a problem, and that's a whole nother podcast we could go
That's
off
right.
on.
I mean, it's people outside of the veterinary
But
profession.
but the
seeing dollar
problem is,
signs.
again, you remember at the beginning of our talk, I said culture comes from the very top down.
Yep.
And it makes sense if you said you went from one corporate and just changed office with the same corporate.
Mm-hmm.
How's the culture going to be any different?
Yeah.
And I really want to stress to the early career veterinarians, if you can find that privately owned practice, take that job. I know that pays less. Your life will be better. You will learn more. You will be happier. Because small mom-pop type practices are almost family. You spend more time with the people at work than you actually do with your family. So that's why it's important to find that right fit.
Yeah, there still needs to be a lot of vetting done on behalf of the veterinary student who's looking for
Right,
their
and
first
that's
job.
why I tell all early career vets, do not take that signing bonus.
Yeah.
Do not take it, because if you do, they got you.
I think that's really smart advice. You know, we know that the statistics for turnover for early career vets is sky high. You know, somewhere between, well, you know, you might know with your research, but the last I saw was somewhere between
78% sometimes.
Up to 78% of
Leave
new
their job
grads are
leaving their job within the first year.
I need that study. 44% is the highest that I have been seeing, but this is crazy. This is really common. So, you know, a disproportionate number of new veterinarians are leaving their first job within 12 to 18 months. And when they leave, what are they citing as the reason they're leaving? Culture and lack of mentorship. They are not citing poor pay. They're not saying I didn't get a big enough sign-on bonus. And when we look at what vet students are looking for in their first job, mentorship is always high up there. It's
Correct.
the number one non-monetary feature
Correct.
of employment. It's what people want. And I think we get confused, or we think as practice leaders or corporate leaders that the way we're going to get this competitive, you know, stand out in this, you know, scarce veterinary market is by throwing more money, when that is not what people want or need. It's culture and mentorship.
The two things that do not cost a practice
Mm-hmm.
anything.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that. It doesn't cost practices anything to change a culture or to provide mentorship.
Yep.
It's
Right.
just do your job, have fun, be happy, teach these young career vets. Teach them it's okay to not be perfect. Teach them it's okay to try stuff
Yeah.
because guess what? I'm right here, right? Now, I've had new career vets that are like, I want to do a liver lobectomy. Well, guess what? This guy's never done a liver lobectomy, so we're not going to do it together. You know?
Right.
Right. There's some things like.
But more power to you.
Yeah, exactly. Paragardectomy. Yeah, that sounds great.
Have fun. Have fun with that.
Why don't you go down the street and scrub in with them?
Right.
But yeah, I agree with you. And again, everything comes down to the soft skills. Soft skills don't cost any money.
That's right. Yeah. So what are some takeaways here? What are things that practices can do? What are things that early career vets can do to help change some of this, create positive culture?
I think if you're truly going to be a mentor, you find an article that talks about the 9 dimensions of what it is to be a mentor. I wish there was a textbook on veterinary mentorship.
Oh, funny you should mention that. Stay tuned, everyone. Spring 2026, the veterinary mentorship book.
I really think that it's not going to be uncommon for early career veterinarians to change their job.
That breaks my heart.
But in the land of rainbow and unicorns, we want them to stay at that first job and let it be that job.
Yeah.
But there's a great chance that's not going to.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with leaving.
Yeah.
That's why I said do not take that signing bonus, because if you do, you can't leave. You will owe the entire signing bonus back.
Yeah.
And guess what? Uncle Sam already took 50% of it.
That's right.
So they got you. And then you have what? Maybe 6 months of mental hell,
Yeah.
right?
Here's one thing I will say, though. You know, when I hear from practice leaders and they have a new grad that they hired, and then that veterinarian leaves within the first 12 to 18 months, often the practice owner is surprised. Maybe they should have been aware of what was going on. But what they say to me is, this person didn't come to me with the challenges that they were having. And I think that the new grads, you know, sometimes could be a little bit better about.
That's no excuse.
Okay. Yeah.
Because as a leader, they're being an ostrich, right? They put their head in their sand. How do you not know what's going on?
Yeah.
How do you not, I mean, how do you not know? You don't see the struggle.
Yeah.
You don't feel the struggle. You don't, hear the struggle. You don't, I mean.
Yeah, I appreciate that perspective.
You've been in a veterinary practice long enough.
Yeah.
You know about the bullshit that went on Tuesday, even though you worked a Friday and a Saturday.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The practices are very small.
Yeah.
And you know everything that's going on. Even if you're not a direct part of that conversation, you overhear the conversations. So that is not a valid excuse.
Yep. Okay.
If a leader's like, oh, I had no idea, it's because you're being stupid.
Right.
You are not a leader.
Yeah. So maybe take a look inward. If this has happened to you more than once, you have team members or new grads that you've hired leaving.
Just like your mentee that's having a rough patch, I think she needs to look inward too.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's an important thing.
She might need a job coach.
And they exist. You know, there's a reason that type of profession exists.
Right. And I'm not saying it in a bad way.
Yeah.
But I mean, the in closing, what I would say is that like all the older veterinarians, if there's leadership classes you can go take them. To all the early career veterinarians, if there's leadership classes you can go take them.
Take them.
To all the early career vets, if you do not feel as if you can voice your opinion without getting scolded, you're not in the right place.
Yeah.
And again, if you do feel that way, it is because of the leadership.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point and something that should be verbalized and named. And thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely. I'm here anytime.
I could always talk to you because we get such good unfiltered feedback and information. And
so many
I just
opinions,
love this.
so few filters,
That's
right?
It's perfect.
No, ever since the first day I met you, you and I were on the same mission.
Yep.
The difference is that I was full of rage.
Yes.
And you were just starting.
Yeah.
And when you called me the other day, I was like, Oh, how the tails have turned.
They have. Now you're like calm, cool, and
Yes.
collected, and I am all fired up,
Yeah.
which is good.
Which is good.
You know,
But the thing is, like, when you see bad things happen to good people, it pisses you off.
yeah,
And you're human. And
Yeah.
it shows you care.
yeah, exactly.
So,
Yeah, and I'm glad that, our love for mentorship and this profession has brought us together so we can have these really
Right.
important conversations, and I'm looking forward to more. And thank you so, so much for coming and just being open and honest and vulnerable and sharing your experience and what you're learning with this dissertation. And I'm just so glad to have you here. So thank you so
yeah,
much.
stay tuned for that. And remember, Ready Vet Go. Check them out online. Check out my Veterinary Intelligence newsletter on LinkedIn. Dani and I just co-authored one, which will be dropping.
Yep, it's going to be a good one.
And then also keep an eye out for CE that is led by GPs.
GPs. So, yes, keep your eyes out. We have some really exciting things in
I
the
am
works.
so
This is
excited.
veterinary education for GPs
Right.
by GPs. We are disrupting the CE landscape.
Right.
And Dr. G and I are both a part of it. And that's going to be coming in October. And I cannot wait to have you guys there.
We should call this podcast the Disruptors. There's nothing wrong. And also, last thing, early career veterinarians, there's nothing wrong with being a disruptor.
Amen.
There is nothing wrong with it.
Nope.
You want to be a disruptor, Dani and I are behind you 100% of the way,
Yep.
as long as your disruption makes sense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You got it. We'll talk to you soon.